Welcome to the Evermore studio and the very first episode of Demo10. Now what is Demo10, I hear you ask? Well, I had a theory. Demos are boring, right? They're way too long. They ask for way too much investment to find out whether you actually like the product that you're looking at or not. You'll sit there for 2 hours, you'll sit through a slide deck, and within 5 minutes you'd looked at a few screens and thought, nope, this isn't for us, it wasn't what we were looking for. But Demo10 is here to answer that, and it is the spiritual successor to Vendor Spotlight. And often I would sit during Vendor Spotlight and think, I really wish I could see that product. Well, here is the answer to you. And joining me today is someone who was on Vendor Spotlight, episode 11, in fact, a firm supporter. And he's like if 𝗷𝗀𝗁𝗀 was brothers with the mountain. This is what would be the answer. It is my favourite, Oliver Werneyer of Imburse. Oliver, welcome.
Oh, Ed, thanks for having me again, and I look forward to just showing how easy a demo can be and how quick it can be.
Well, we look forward to it. And we're now, and we didn't, you'll have noticed, we didn't usher down the screen of wonder. It was already there. But we have got an animation for you. And Casey, please, bring in the timer. It's a tense moment. So we now have our timer. Please put 10 minutes on that timer. Now the question is, Oliver, are you ready for your Demo 10? Your 10 minutes to wow us with what you can do with Imburse.
I am ready, and I'm ready to show you how easy it is to deploy payments.
Amazing. Right. I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock. I'm going to go in 3. We're going to go in 2. We're going to go in 1. And they're off.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And as many will know, especially in the insurance game, as everybody's trying to transform, everybody's trying to launch new products, payments is always the headache. Who looks after payments? Is it the website people? Is it the app people? Is it the CRM people? Is it the core IT people? Regardless, payments is an absolutely critical part of the insurance experience for both the client and the insurer. And deploying payment technologies and payment partners is incredibly complex for companies because of their IT systems and their processes. But the great news is it doesn't have to be complex anymore. And today I'll show you how easy it is. And to get us started, imagine we launch a new insurer and we know, say, a digital motor insurance company. And we said we need to be able to accept credit cards as a payment for the premiums. Now, we know something already. The product people have asked for to accept credit cards. And who are the people who make decisions around who to use? This will be the finance teams. And for the finance or treasury teams, it's as easy as going to a marketplace and say, okay, who can I choose as a payment provider? You have a long list of providers you can choose from, or you can ask Imburse to deploy any provider that you want to work with. As you can see, it's a long list that covers all the different types of payments for collection and payouts. But we know we wanted to launch, say, a credit card ability to transact with credit cards. One such provider is Braintree. Covers all the major credit card companies types. And you're able to say, I want to use Braintree. Let me install it, much like an app on your app store. You will have a contract with Braintree that you set up with Braintree as an organization. That means your money is safe, your data is safe, we cannot get to it, but we just really solve the integration problem from you. Once you have the contract in place, you will be given very long, complex keys, which you get to gladly type out, which takes you about 5 minutes if you type out the full keys. And within clicking the deploy and filling in the keys, much like setting up an app, you have a payment provider installed. It takes around 5 minutes. So you can tell to the product people, hey, I brought you the credit card ability to transact with credit cards. The product people are incredibly grateful. They go to the scheme section when they said, for collections, let's set up a rule. So let's say we wanted to do motor insurance digital in the UK. Then you can say, great, for collecting money in the United Kingdom, in British pounds, not in country British pounds, but in British pounds, between 0 and, say, 20 pounds, which is your micropayments, I want to offer. So the product people only get to see what finance offered them, to say you can use Braintree, but within that you can shape your journey. Maybe you say, hey, American Express and Discover either is not relevant for the smaller payments or it's really expensive, so I'll only offer the main ones, Maestro, MasterCard, Visa. And for the larger credit card, larger premium collections, you will say, okay, for British pounds, between 20 pounds and 1 cent, and say 5,000 pounds, so the larger amounts, I will add everybody. I will offer all the payment types. So basically within that component, I've spent about 3 minutes setting up a basic rule saying that, hey, below 20, just offer 3 basic credit card types. Above £20, offer all of them. So in that moment, your system will send us collect this much, this market, which we can simulate to see what the output would be. So in the United Kingdom, we simulate in British pounds a collection of £40 for, say, premium collection. The answer from our system will be American Express, Discover, Maestro, MasterCard, Visa. When the customer now selects the payment type, he will have to fill in his card number, CVV, expiry date. The great news is those fields are from the provider Braintree, which means Imburse itself doesn't have your money going through their accounts. They don't have the payment details going through their accounts. Thus, these are not available in our system and very secure. And Braintree gets to process that, and we bring you back the credit card transaction status. All these options, you can use a white label screen of ours to deploy. You can deploy iframes into your own journey or use APIs to have your full design freedom. Now, this was a very easy start. Now your customers come back and say, oh, I want to use Apple Pay. I want to use Google Pay. Others say, I want to use PayPal. And finance said, guys, we're growing in volume. It's too expensive to use Braintree for the larger amounts. We need to change that. Well, this is easy. That's a mission for Treasury and Finance. They have 3 product requirements: Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and a business requirement. Find us a PSP that charges us less. It's easy. You go back to the marketplace. I, for example, know you could use Stripe. Stripe covers many different payment technologies, but the most important ones we want to see is Apple Pay and Google Pay. So you can say, hey, install Stripe. It's as easy as that. Once you have signed your agreement with Stripe, or you can get to run through us, you will fill in these, essentially usernames and passwords, very long numbers that you will get. Takes you about 5 minutes. Boom, Stripe is deployed. Now you have Stripe there. As you notice, no big integration projects, no big 100,000 million pound projects here. The other part we wanted was PayPal. Let's go through here. Yes, we have PayPal. You can have PayPal through a provider, but maybe we choose to go direct. Finance goes and negotiates a deal with PayPal, says this is how we want to work. Once they've done that, they come here, press install, fill in their credentials. Another 5 minutes by, boom, we have PayPal installed. But we still wanted a cheaper provider for the larger credit card transaction fees. Goes through the list, they see some names that they like, Worldline, WorldPay, the big UK one, covers Apple Pay, Google Pay. This sounds great. They go negotiate an agreement with them, press install, fill out the credentials that they were given, and voila, Finance has done its job. In 15 to 20 minutes of work, they've deployed 3 payment providers and can now say to the product people, I brought you what you wanted. So the product people are hyper excited. They go back to the rule that is already running. Remember, the product is already offering these payment options and said, I want to spice up my offering. And when you click on add payment type, you see all the new ones that were added. So you say, yes, they wanted PayPal. Let me add PayPal to the smaller card options. And they wanted Apple Pay and Google Pay. There I'll use Stripe. Stripe offers many things, but we only want Apple Pay and Google Pay. So you can literally just switch them off and shape them. And good process is just too safe, as we know. Here, we kick out Braintree completely. We replace them with WorldPay. That has many of the options. We just don't need Samsung Pay, Union Pay, and WeChat Pay. And we add PayPal because that is missing. And in less than 3 minutes, I've now updated the rule that when I simulate as before, imagine now your call comes in to collect in the UK, in British pounds, the 40. The connection to Imburse has not changed. You say collect in the UK £40. The answer now just includes more options from us. American Express, Maestro, MasterCard, Visa, and there's Apple Pay, Google Pay, and PayPal. And this was for a total actual work time of like 20 minutes of work. No big IT projects, no 100,000 or million pound projects, but just simple click and deploy kind of experience. So now you've reacted to the customer, and if you really change the experience. What's even better now, this was just collections. And as we know in insurance, payouts is as important. And the good thing is Imburse covers both collection and payouts in one space. It's just different providers. So imagine you want to do for the motor insurance, you want to say, hey, I generally pay out into a bank account, quite simply. You can use somebody like Bottomline. I mean, there's many different providers, but in our demo, we'll use Bottomline to do BACS payouts. Much like before, you say, yes, I use Bottomline to connect to my bank. You will fill out your credentials. In about 5 minutes of typing, boom, you have your connection to your bank. But let's spice this up. We also want to offer some vouchers. You can use a provider like TangoCard, right? So they offer many different vouchers. You get an agreement with them, you fill out your credentials, and create a voucher account. So compliance might have something to say and be like, it's great that you have TangoCard, but I want to see which vouchers they offer. So let's create a voucher group for the United Kingdom, right? So we want to say, show us for TangoCard that we have just chosen in GBP, in the United Kingdom, which vouchers do they actually offer? So you'll see there's a massive list of vouchers that you can offer, which are awesome. So compliance might say, hey, all of those are okay except the prepaid cards. That's not allowed. That's like a cash equivalent. All the other ones you can offer. So they've created a UK rewards group. Now when you go to payout, you will see the product teams can go here and create a rule and say motor insurance UK digital for payout. That's and then you can say in the United Kingdom, in GBP, let's say for the smaller amounts, so between 0 and say £100, I will offer vouchers, but they can only choose what is being set free. You can switch off all the stuff that you don't think is relevant here. Maybe you want to only offer a couple of the vouchers. And say for below £100, people have to take vouchers. We just activate Amazon and Zalando. And for the bigger amounts, we will only allow bank transfers. So in the United Kingdom, in GBP, between 101 cents and say 5,000, I will add a bank payment. As
and that is our time up, I am afraid.
No, that's
Can you believe it? Can you believe it? The 10 minutes has absolutely flown by. I was encapsulated, but I had to get all the alarms to come on. I don't want to clash with you and cut you off. There's enough clashing going on with my tie and the Evermore studio, so I didn't want to. Don't like cutting people off, but I have to. It's the aim of the game. Okay. But I don't want to upset you further because you do remind me of a WWE wrestler. The width of your shoulders intimidates me, but I have some questions about your demo. Would you be willing to take them? Brilliant. So one of the things you talked about was this kind of dynamic pricing options. Mm-hmm. So am I right in understanding that the way that you would use that is if, for example, it was more profitable on smaller business to use a certain payment method and on larger business to use another payment method, that you can configure that in a kind of so that the computer decides?
Yes. You can actually go into any kind of detail around configuration because your consideration to route, as they would call it, can have many reasons. You might want to route because you want to reduce the cost of the transaction. So imagine you have to either collect money. If it's super urgent, you might use something like faster payments, which is real-time payments, which is more expensive. You might not want to apply that to all 100% of your transactions, but where it's critical, the same for payout. So you can do fee-based routing. You can do operational routing. What if this provider is down, but your client needs the money? You have to go to the next provider to execute, right? And you can talk about backups and load sharing. This program does cover that, and you can set up as simple or as complex rules as your business needs.
Brilliant. And imagine I'm on really old legacy technology.
Yeah.
Because many of the people watching this will be. What's the kind of minimum technical point of entry that I need to be able to use a solution like this?
The only thing you need to be able to do is get a message to our system that either says collect or pay out this much in this market. Whether you send us a file drop that comes from a super old IT system or you use Apache Kafka, the most modern technology to send that data, is irrelevant to us. And that's part of the beauty here. Whether you have a really old, very complex or very new system, it doesn't matter. We will be able to enrich your experience, modernize sort of the kind of technology that's available and just provide a cooler experience for your customer.
And just to manage expectations, I mean, when I was looking at it, it looked very, very easy. Is that the reality of it? Or do I need to hire a team to be able to do this for me? Or is it a big project? How easy actually is it?
It is. Look, nothing is like no work at all. But this is the whole point of Imburse and the value add is that by having developed the platform in a way that requires nothing of ours to be deployed into your system, we keep away from it completely and say, Just send us the message to collect or pay out how much in which market, and we will enter back into your system with all the reporting so that you can sort of close the loop on all of that, which means you do not need an army of people to actually connect to us. We can actually help in some of that. And if you really have some crazy kind of requirements and you do need the help because you don't have the resources, well, one, we can help. Two, we also have awesome partners that we can bring into the shop to make massive deployments. But generally, this is supposed to be light touch. We've done deployments anywhere between like 2 or 3 days all the way to 2.5, 3 months for hyper complex deployments. It's supposed to be easy and not be complex and cost a lot.
And now I know how the audience thinks, and I know how the broking community and the insurers and the MGAs all think. So let's talk DOSH. Talk to me a little bit about the charging mechanism and what customers and how they can expect to pay.
So we always charge the person that we add the value to, and we add value to essentially the enterprises or the insurers or the brokers, saying we take away this need to do the direct integration and maintain all that infrastructure. The reason I highlight that is because we take no money from the payments world. We don't take a percentage per transaction. The payment companies don't have to pay us. We basically provide a service to you, and that has to create value. And our charging structure is a SaaS enterprise license that companies pay that has 3 core components. And we call it access, volume, and product. Access is really, hey, I want to have access to this platform, choose payment partners. And this is where you select your SLAs. So you can go from anywhere from like 25K a year, like, hey, let me do it myself. I understand payments. Just let me connect to whoever I want, all the way to structuring as complex, many markets, many like people on site to help you navigate this. But from like 25K upwards, all licenses come with like 100,000 transactions. Once you go above that, you can just buy blocks of transactions at like a fixed fee per transaction. Whether you do £1 billion pounds in or out, a card or voucher, that's irrelevant. Just every time a transaction is done, the counter then goes down. And then products is along the payments value chain. Do you need support with direct debit mandate management, card tokenization, auto reconciliation? These are optional services you can buy in that often carry a license cost. So the only compulsory part is the access piece, obviously the volume piece as you grow, and the product piece is purely optional.
Brilliant. Well, I love it.
Perfect.
A single integration point for all of those payment options sounds fantastic, and I can think of loads of use cases for that I would have had over the years at brokers, at MGAs, at when I was at insurers, but mostly actually when I was a vendor and when I was at a software house, and we spent forever constantly having to integrate with different vendors time and time again, because no matter what you have, they always want something different. It's just the nature of the beast. They've always got, every other customer wants something slightly different. So I love this.
This is like never again have to worry about going to the COO or CFO or selling a big IT project and massive costs. It's quite a release for people to develop new products and solutions.
Absolutely. Well, much, much needed. Now, if you loved it as much as I did, then please let us know in the comments down below. Or, as they say, smash that like button. I am absolutely doing it on every single one from now on. We're fully fledged YouTube aficionados now. We've got all the phrases, we've got animations and everything. But if you like this, please do subscribe to the channel as well, because there'll be lots more of this kind of things coming. But for now, it is thank you, Oliver from Imburse.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
And it is goodbye from me. I will see you on the next one. Well, you're a glutton for punishment, staying all the way to the end, but I really appreciate it. Now, if you want more content like this, please make sure to subscribe over here, somewhere. Am I anywhere near it? Not sure. Or watch one of the extra videos up here. Peace! Pretty gangster. Yeah, I'll be on that TikTok soon. Definitely.